Hi and welcome back. Today I want to show you my go-to inks, my favorite inks that I like to use, and the paper that I like to use when I'm using my Copics or my Spectrum Noir markers. So let's get started. Okay, the first ink that I like to use is the Memento ink for my Copic markers. I noticed that this ink does not smear when you're using your Copic markers or your Spectrum Noir markers. I also notice it dries pretty fast, and it works good on the Neenah Solar white paper. And this is what this is. Nope, just kidding. This is the Neenah Solar white paper right here, and I'm going to show you. So I'm going to stamp up this little image here. It's a cat in a box, and the stamp set is from Simon Says, and it's Furry Cat in the Box. So I'm going to stamp this. Remember, this is the Memento ink, and it's the fast resist dye ink, which I like. So I'm just going to stamp this down, because I found when I first started using my Copics or Spectrum Noirs, I didn't have, ooh, that's a bad image. Well, we're just testing this. But anyways, I didn't have the Memento ink or the paper. I was using Stampin' Up's paper, and it just doesn't work very well with it because it's a thinner cardstock. You need something that's at least 80 pounds or more for it to work well with your Copic markers. So here's a little sample. It's not a good image. It didn't come out all the way. But as you can see, I don't have to wait for it to dry. There's no smearing. This is my Spectrum Noir marker. See, there's no smearing at all. Nothing. Now, even with the Copic, I'm just going to get out a skin color. Same thing. There's no smearing, and it dries very fast. So I recommend, this is just me, that you should use the Memento Tuxedo Black ink for using any of your alcohol inks, because as you can see, there's no bleeding, nothing, and you can go over it and go over it, and it still will not bleed. Also, my next favorite ink has to be the VersaFine. I saw a video, Christina Wheeler, I believe. I will write down her name. And she used this on a sentiment. Oh man, I fell in love with this ink. I had to go buy it. Oh, going back to Memento really quick. You can find this at your local craft store, Joann's, Michael's. You can find both of these actually there. And then, but back to this. This makes a fine, crisp print. I'm going to show you. And it comes like this. It comes with a little piece of white. Like, I don't know what it is, but I just threw it away. And always remember to buy your re-inkers when you buy your ink pads. Because those are if these are the ink pads that you're using more often, you're going to want to have that re-inker for it. So I'm just going to ink up Happy Birthday with it, and we're going to watch the difference. This is with the VersaFine. There's a difference with the VersaFine. Then I'm going to clean off my stamp, and I just use some baby wipes. You can use cleaner, whatever you have, but I feel that the baby wipes work better with the clear stamps. That's just me. And then I'm just wiping it off. Okay, that's good enough. Then we're going to go with the Memento Tuxedo Black, and you're going to see a difference. I'm inking this up. Let me turn this around. And, okay. And there's the difference. This one is much more crisp than the Memento. I mean, don't get me wrong, they both work great, but This is my go-to ink when I use my sentiments on anything. This thing works good. This ink works good on pattern paper. Here I have some pattern paper right here. Let me clean off my stamp again so I can show you. This is the VersaFine. Going back to that. And I'm just stamping on a piece of scratch paper. Perfect. It smeared just a little bit because the stamp wasn't dry from cleaning it. Remember, this is VersaFine, and I recommend this for all your stamping, your sentiments. And you can also watercolor with this as well, because it dries very quickly. It's an oil base. It's a fast drying oil based pigment ink. So you can use this for watercoloring as well. I haven't tried it yet, but I've seen other videos and it works really good. Also, my next ink, I'm loving this ink. The Brilliance, the black, I'm really loving this ink. This is a pigment ink, meaning pigment ink you can emboss with this because it takes longer for it to dry. So basically with this one, I like it, but for it not to smear, you have to use your heating tool to set it. So I'm going to show you with this one. Comes with this. So it's like a craft ink, pretty much. And you barely tap it. Okay? And I'm going to stamp it right here. See how crisp that is? But the only problem is, look when I do this. It smears. That's the only thing. That's why you have to heat set it. So I'm going to stamp it again, and then I'm going to heat set it. You don't want to heat set it for too long. Let's put this to the side. Okay, I'm going to take my heat tool. Okay, that should be done. Yep, there's no smearing. See if I'm running my finger across the stamp image. Nothing. So, I mean, it's really your preference. If you want less time, I would go with the VersaFine. Or the Memento, whichever you prefer, but this one is my favorite. And if you don't mind sitting there for a couple seconds, heat tooling, using your heat tool, by all means, use the Brilliance. It works good too. And it's an embossing ink. You cannot use your Copics. I'm going to show you an example. Let me clean that off. Let's turn him over. And we're just going to stamp him in the corner. Hopefully he comes out better this time stamped. Yes, he did. Good cat. I'm just going to clean this really quick because I'm going to also show you with the VersaFine with coloring Copics and Spectrum Noir markers. Okay. I'm going to use one of my Spectrum Noir markers. And as you can see, it's starting to bleed. And you don't want to do this with your markers. Use this because it can ruin the tip of your marker by using inks that are bleeding. So, to get that off, you just like that. And your marker tip is fine. So, as you can see in the picture, it did bleed quite a lot. And it's mixing in with your color. And you don't want that because that's not a pretty sight. So, I'm going to ink it up with VersaFine. And show you the difference as well. And we're going to do it over here. I love this little kitty in the box. It's so cute. Okay, again, let's do a different color. Let's do one of the purples. And it's not so much bleeding, but it will bleed. it's bleeding a little bit. As you can see in here, it's starting to bleed. So you can't go over it multiple times like you can with the Memento ink. That's just my choice. But there might be other inks out there, but I haven't found any inks. So I hope this helps you with cardstock and what inks are good to use and which are my favorite 3 go-to inks because I love them. And like again I said, the best paper for my preference is the Neenah white cardstock. I believe this is about 80 pounds. And then there's the Crafter's Companionship paper. But I think that's Neenah paper as well. But I hope this helped you, and thanks for watching.